Hello, in today's video we're going to explore and try to understand why a book that brings the narratives and teachings of a man so closely connected to God was excluded from the sacred scriptures. What it tells us, one of the most intriguing parts of the book. What danger do the scriptures contained in this book represent for? And what are these mysteries? And the inevitable question, why was this book banned from the Holy Scriptures? Could it really not have been included in the biblical canon only because of its questionable authenticity? The Forbidden Book of Enoch. One of the oldest and most of all time, which has many prophecies, revelations and supernatural accounts, including involving giant angels and aliens. This amazing work makes many people believe that it was banned from the Bible for revealing mystical the creation of the world by God, the God's creation of the world. Enoch manuscript begins with a warning to all of humanity and to the fallen angels who have made the earth a home of devastation, bloodshed and sorcery. This huge forbidden book was written about 200 years ago, with the first dating back to around 300 before Christ and the most recent records around 100 BC. Book of Enoch was removed from the Jewish and Christian biblical canons in the first centuries of the new calendar. And he reveals secrets about which the church is silent. According to ancient writings, Enoch was the guardian of all the treasures of heaven, the chief of the archangels and of the throne of God. Also the mention of the fallen angels and the fact that sinned here on earth, multiplying with earthly women and revealing to them heavenly secrets for which the human race was not yet. The banning of the book was probably influenced by the fact that it contained prophecies about Christ himself. Let's try to understand and discover what the most mysterious and sacred book in the entire spiritual history of humanity frightens the church. Who is Enoch? Enoch is the son of Jared, descended from the first man Adam, from his seventh generation great-grandfather of Noah. He is a teacher and educator. His name translates as initiator. The Old Testament doesn't mention of his writings but still gives him a place in Genesis, in chapter 5 verses 21 to 24, just enough to indicate the number of years, 365, confirming the existence of his person and describing his life in a laconic phrase that has given rise to countless interpretations. And Enoch walked with God and disappeared because God took. There is also a legend that Enoch is actually the biblical king and priest Melchizedek. He is believed to be the creator of writing and astrology, communicating with God, as a religious prophet and sage. Many church fathers such as Justin Martyr, Athenagoras of Athens, and Irenaeus Clement of Alexandria, Origen, Tertullian and Lactantius wrote about him. Showing great respect for Enoch, their scriptures contain many allusions to the Book of Enoch and in some cases explicitly defend the use of the book as scripture, going back to the book of Genesis, where he is described as the seventh of the 10 patriarchs before the flood, each one of them said to have lived several centuries. However, Enoch is an exception, for it is said that he did not see death, as written in Hebrews 11 verse 5. Furthermore, Genesis 5 verses 22 to 24 states that Enoch lived 365 years, significantly less than the other antediluvian patriarchs, who are recorded as dying at over 700 years. The brief account of Enoch in Genesis 5 ends with the cryptic that he wasn't, because God took him away. What follows, seen on a larger scale, shows Enoch's great devotion to the Lord. Of Enoch to the Lord, respectively, the great love and special treatment of. According to some theories, Enoch was translated alive into the kingdom of God as his angel. The words "he did not see death" are interpreted. Let's explore this collection of texts attributed to him, but their authenticity and content are the subject of debate. The Book of the Watchers. This book marks the beginning of the manuscript. It was written around 300 before Christ and describes the fall of the watchmen or watchful angels who become the parents of the Nephilim. Genesis 6 verses 1 to 4 of this book also tells of Enoch's journeys through the heavens. Opens with an introduction that says Enoch is a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God so that he could see the visions sent to him by the Holy One in heaven. He showed him the sons of God and he heard everything from them. And he knows what he sees, but what he saw will not happen in this generation, but in a generation yet to come. The book also talks about God coming to earth on Mount Sinai with his armies to pronounce judgment on all things are predestined by God and happen in their own time. Sinners will perish and the good will live on in the light of joy and peace. The first section of the book describes the interaction of the fallen with humanity. They took human wives to bear children. Their leader said, "I'm afraid that you really don't agree to do this, and I alone will have to pay the price for a great sin." They all responded and said, "Let's all go and bind ourselves with mutual oaths." Mutual oaths not to abandon this plan but to carry out this act. They all swore, and with mutual curses there were 200 of them in total, who came down to the top of Mount Hermon and called it Mount Hermon because they swore and bound themselves with mutual oaths there. Leads to the creation of the Nephilim or giants, as described in the book, and they became pregnant and gave birth to great giants whose height was 300 cubits. And destroyed all the gains of men. There was real hell and chaos on earth. The book also discusses the decadent training of humans by the fallen angels, especially Azazel, and Azazel taught men how to make swords, knives, shields, and breastplates and familiarized them with the metals of the earth, and with the art of working them, with bracelets, with ornaments, with the use of antimony, with the embellishment of the eyelids, with all kinds of precious stones and all kinds of colorings. Much evil arose. And they committed fornication, went astray and corrupted themselves in all their ways, taught enchantment and eradication, taught the resolution of enchantments, they taught astrology, the constellations, knowledge of the clouds, the signs of the earth, the signs of the sun, and the course of the moon. Then Michael, Uriel, Raphael and Gabriel appeal to God to judge the inhabitants of the world and the fallen angels. God sends Uriel to tell Noah about the impending cataclysm and what he should do. Then the Most High says, "Go to Noah and tell him in my name to hide himself and reveal to him the end that is coming, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and that a flood will come upon the whole earth and destroy everything in it. And now instruct him so that he may be saved and that his seed be preserved for all generations of the world." God orders Raphael to arrest Azazel, gives Gabriel instructions about the Nephilim, and orders Michael to bind the fallen angels. In chapters 37 to 71 of the Book of Enoch, we find the section known as Parables of Enoch or Similitudes of Enoch. The academic debate about this book generally focuses on its authorship, date of composition, and religious influences. Although it explores themes such as the final judgment and eschatology, the Book of Enoch is not centered exclusively on the fallen angels and the wicked kings of the earth. An interesting feature of this book is the use of the expression Son of Man in reference to the eschatological hero, also called the chosen righteous one and the Messiah, who sits on the throne of glory at the final judgment. The first known use of Son of Man as a specific title in the Hebrew Scriptures is in the Book of Enoch. This term may have played a role in the understanding and initial use of the title by Christians. The Astronomical Book of Enoch, also known as the Astronomical Books or the Astronomical Calendars of Enoch, consists of 4 fragmentary editions found at Qumran. These manuscripts offer detailed descriptions about the movement of celestial bodies and knowledge of the cosmos, revealed to Enoch during his heavenly journeys. Although the possible influence of Uriel, one of the archangels, is mentioned in some parts of the astronomical books, there are no specific details about his role as Enoch's guide. The solar calendar described in these books is notable for its peculiarities, including the division of the year into 364 days and the structure of 91 days for each of the 4 seasons. Although there are some similarities with the calendar found in the Book of Jubilees, there is no clear evidence that it was directly adopted by the Dead Sea sect. As for the idea that each year and each season always began on Wednesday, there is no explicit information in the texts found at Qumran to support this claim. Therefore, although we have shown an overview of the Astronomical Book of Enoch, it is important to point out that some of the information may not be totally accurate based on the available evidence. The Book of Dreams contains visions of Israel's history up to what most interpret as the Maccabean Revolt, dating from the Maccabean period around 163 to 142 BC, according to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, was written before the biblical flood, but the dating of the book before the biblical flood is controversial and most scholars believe. Although the book was written in the intertestamental period, the book continues with visions and allegorical accounts of the history of Israel, in which animals are used as symbols of humans and people as symbols of angels. Enoch's message. Many scholars date this manuscript to around 170 BC. The book is divided into subsections. Apocalypse of Weeks. This subsection tells the history of the world using a structure of 10 periods called weeks, 7 of which refer to past events and 3 to future events. The climax is in the 7th part of the 10th week, when a new heaven will appear. And there will be many weeks without number until the era, and they will all be of goodness and righteousness. Exhortation. This brief list of exhortations to follow righteousness spoken Enoch to his son Methuselah is a bridge to the next subsection. Epistle. The first part of the epistle describes the wisdom of God, the final reward of the righteous, the punishment of the wicked, and the 2 separate paths of righteousness and injustice, followed by 6 oracles against sinners, the testimony of creation against them, and the guarantee of fate after death. Birth of Noah. This part appears in the fragments separated from the previous text by a blank line, thus appearing appendix. It talks about the flood and about Noah, who was born in the appearance of an angel. Conclusion. This application is not found in the Quran and is considered the work of the latter writer, as it emphasizes the generation of light as opposed to sinners condemned to darkness. Why is this ancient biblical book neglected and even banned by official religion when it contains so much history about our roots? It is clear that one of the reasons for the book's ban is probably due to the fact that at the beginning it begins with a warning to humanity, describing the divine judgment that will find all those unworthy of salvation, followed by an explanation of how the bloodthirsty giants, also called Nephilim, who roamed the earth described in Genesis arose. They also serve as an excuse for the flood. But God still warned Noah and saved the people. The accounts of Enoch's travels through the kingdoms of heaven detail the powers of heaven, and the cruelty that awaits depraved people are also likely to be unpleasant. Could it be that the problem of the church was not rooted in the fact that it scared the faithful with such detailed information and perhaps some inconvenient facts in this information? The book speaks directly and openly about strange creatures with advanced technology who visited our earth. They shared their technology with their hybrid descendants, which was a great loss for humanity. The book describes very clearly how and why all evidence was erased by the flood. One thing is for sure, there is something in this book that bothers many people. This is not evidence of ancient aliens visiting Earth. Who and how Enoch lit up and descended into his journeys to heaven and back. We can assume that they were extraterrestrials, and that Enoch was in contact with one of the sovereigns of that society answers that perhaps no one is looking for today. At least not openly, because these scriptures have been denied and labeled as apocryphal. All we have to do is read, explore, seek to understand and wait for the day when perhaps the truth will be revealed to us. And you? What is your opinion on the Book of Enoch? Leave your opinion in the comments. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe to support us and encourages us to bring more content of faith and reflection. God bless you.